how to write a resume for your National Innovation Visa. I've seen a lot of resumes that were presented because they thought that I shall put everything into one CV, let people know that's what I have been doing. That's the wrong perception. First of all, CV is really like a pitch deck. You have a limited time to convince the immigration officer to make a decision in your favor, or to make even a decision to further, if they decide whether they want to further read other supporting documents or they just skip it. So it's really, really important. CV, the importance of CV explained in various contexts, including interview, including really about catching the eyes of investors. So it's really important. Now, what I'm always suggest candidates is how many pages, how to present the way, really, really focus about who's your audience, right? And then what do they want to see, the keyword, what they want to see. And that the information they would like to read. For instance, normally if you approach to a position, you apply a position, roughly in a way you can understand that when you apply for such position, that you kind of qualified for the position. The position required to have certain degree, certain work experience, and certain of skills, tools that you know. But for National Innovation Visa, whether you know the tools, is that really relevant to that kind of program? Probably not. And that whether or not your qualification is that important to a position you apply, probably not. Because this is assumed that if you applying for that position, you could have qualified anyway. But for the National Innovation Visa, that the case of officer cannot assume that you have relevant work qualification, or your qualification is kind of relevant to the whole application, right? So it's really, really important about that. So that three elements I would like to ask and present today is, first of all, how do you structure your CV? Second, how do you write your summary of your CV? And thirdly, how many pages you need to present your CV? Now, first of all, how to structure your CV, meaning your CV has a few of sections. These sections including summary, skills, tools, achievement, awards, qualification, work experience, and references, things like that. Now, these are few sections. Some of the sections normally don't present in your just work CV, right? For instance, you probably won't be saying a lot about your achievement, international recognition, or your presentation, your keynote speaker. You probably don't mention that. You mention key elements of your CV. Maybe some of candidates didn't even write a summary, right, in their CV when they're applying for a job. They just say, here's my first job, second job, third job. That's it. That's what they send to CV for a position. But for National Innovation Visa, you apply a particular sector. They have no prior knowledge about you. They have nothing really about your tools or skill. So your summary section, therefore, is really important. Your structure, your CV structure should contain no more than 3 pages. No more than 3 pages. Don't go over to that because people have no patience to read through their own. Summary section should have information about what you are currently, who you are, right? Should define you, who you are. With this first sentence, define you, because we don't know you. Define you. Then you should, second sentence, you should come up with something that like what you are currently doing. And third one will be how does it relate to your first previous experience, and maybe touch base about qualification, maybe not, all right? No more than 5 sentences should all outline your summary. Now, of that, after that, most people will actually saying something about, their work experience. So for the National Innovation Visa, you should come after with a summary. You should add information such as your qualification, your achievement. It should come out with achievement. People will say, okay, that's your summary. How about, what mentioned? You confirm that you have such as works that are done in the past and recognized anywhere. Now I want to see the evidence. So you need to list out time, what kind of award you received, and what's considered the name of that for whatever purpose. Bullet points or whatever way, structure in the way that we read first. We want to see that what happens in the last 10 years. Don't present anything that adds something that happened 20 years ago. Okay, so you have to be selective. You don't have an obligation to present everything, to write everything. I actually want to emphasize, really depending on how many achievement awards you receive. If you receive so many of them, then in the last 10 years, and lots of them really internal recognitions. And if you list too many of them, I would actually argue that internal award, they don't have much value, because it seems that every year you have that, right? So if you have so many of that recognition internally in the last 10 years, then pick something like last 5 years, right? It's important to really be selective. Now, first with summary, second with your awards, achievement. It can be internal one. Don't limit. Don't worry about, hey, I don't have anything. What about your recognition? You're about nationally. You're about your recognition internally. It doesn't have to be, although they want you to be national one, or previous national global talent visa, global one, right? So, but focus on something like highly relevant to what you position yourself in the summary. So summary and award, and come after that with the qualification. Remember, if someone's qualification, well, it's from top university, you want to mention that in this section. But if your qualification, I've seen lots of candidates, if their qualification is not from top university, and that's not relevant to their work experience, I don't want you to put that qualification into your first page of CV. If your qualification is not relevant because you change your direction in later life, you change in 10 years, and somehow you just figure out and you have like this kind of transition, whatever, this is not highly relevant, and people start to question it, say, I wonder why they change, I wonder why is this. I don't think that relevant. I don't think they are doing a business degree and now they are doing a program that's relevant. I don't have an interest to read anymore. So if your qualification experience, it's not highly relevant to your current work because you did transition, or you probably someone study agriculture in agriculture PhD, but then we have a candidate which is of course successful. They had a PhD in agriculture, but later on they work in pharmaceutical companies. It's not highly relevant. And I asked the question, I did thesis, but I didn't even submit. I graduated without submitting it. This is possible, right? So why do you want to mention here? Because people ask, I don't think it is qualified. It just, they stop reading from there. You want the purpose of the CV. It's you announce a audience, your reader, to read from first sentence to the last, right? You want them to finish reading. This is the only goal you have for your CV. The same thing I apply to personal statement. It is you need to allow your reader from reading from first sentence, first word to the last. If they stop reading from here, that's, you don't need to, your CV is not really good enough. You didn't present well, right? You underestimate your else. You presenting yourself. So summary and your achievement, then come with the qualification. If this is highly relevant, it's to top university. And then if your GPA is really good, say them out loud, right? It's 4 out of 5, 4 out of 4, 3.5, right? Or things like you are first class, right? Your first class distinction. You need to mention that if this is that highly relevant and from top university, or your thesis received kind of recognition, citation, how much from index. You need to mention that if this is really good. Don't mention if that not good. Okay, that what do you mean you want to present on your CV or not. So summary, achievement, and qualification. At this point, you probably already filled out the whole A4 pages of CV. Now I want your first experience to be appeared at the end, leading to the next page. Okay, so So the way that people read through it's, okay, so what? Right? What I mean, I really want to know what so you have got, a summary which is attractive, and then your achievement. Now, if someone's technical person, you want to add a bit section about your tools, but don't mention tools that everybody knows how to do as a programmer, right? C++, and Python, what is it, right? I just would like to say that things that stand you, make yourself stand out. You don't list everything that it's irrelevant or just some kind of funny, isn't it? I know how to do PowerPoint. It's crazy, right? So CV, achievement, and tools. You just mention something like make you stand out, make you stand out. Don't mention too many of the tools that you use or language you use. Then you come up with the last sentence. You should touch base of your work experience, current one. Okay, you come with the current one. Don't come with 10 years ago. Current one. You don't probably have enough space here, but you need to have that. See your experience to start with, your position, your company, and from date. And mostly, if that your company is not well known, you need some type mentioning it a bit, right? If you Google, then you probably don't need to mention it at all, right? If you're Facebook, what I'm saying is it's not everybody, instantly know that they are not a to see company, right? Your company is to be, to business. So if someone's not a consumer, then they just don't know. So you need to 1 or 2 sentences really saying the size of the company. If it's a private company, you definitely need to mention that size of company, meaning how many people you have, how much turnover you have. That's what kind of product you focus, things like that. 1 or 2 sentences are enough. Okay, introduction about your summary. If your company is not well known, for someone who's a consumer, don't assume that everybody knows Pfizer. No, you don't need to. You need to aware that who's actually consumer. Okay, and then come with that. Most people, when they write a CV, they write in the way that what I do every day, right? I'm managing a team of. Well, if you say I'm needing a team of 50 professionals to undertake what type of size of project and then currently of what, you want your description to be, every description need to have the purpose. What is the purpose of your writing such a statement? You need to convince your reader. You need to convince your reader to continue reading. So if your wording sounds really boring and nobody wants to read, just like I can find, sometimes I'm so surprised. Same kind of CV can be happen, same kind of description can be happen to someone who's a team leader and someone who's a team member, right? Because they kind of doing something exactly the same, and they work differently. They word as the same. This is wrong. You should word them differently. If you take a leadership role, if you want to focus on leadership, if you want to focus on innovation, if you focus on impact, now the wording itself should be really focused on that as well. Just don't bullet point to things like you did at what you're doing every day or what you do in the past, and assume people understand you and then just outline. So if you're not able to quantify your achievement, you quantify your project, quantify your company, then probably they're not good enough anyway. That is people's perception. That's human perception. If you cannot quantify them, the reader will not able to understand. Quantifying them, meaning you have to give us the precise number, even an approximate number, but give them the number. So if you say I've helped I'm needing a team. I don't know how many people of you, but if you say I'm needing a team of 59 professional who's a programmers, who's actually sales, pre-sales, and then precise, then it's more real, it's more factual based than I'm needing a team. I don't know if you need a team of 2 people or 200. I have no idea, right? So you want to write a description to be persuasive. And then if you want to achieve this persuasion, the wording, the description has to be really able to quantify. Just give the precise, or even give a range that it's okay, but just give the number, the figure, all right? Now, within that, you maybe touch base on one sentence of what you want to say and persuade. Then that should be really connect with the summary. So first sentence, your CV should be connect with your summary. Now, when people finish reading of your first page of CV, right, an immigration officer, first page of CV, when they want the only thing they want to do, I want to really find more about this person. I want to find out more. Now, this will be happening in seconds. All I'm describing here, when we read fast nowadays, right? We watch short videos. We read very fast. Human perception, human ability to gather information really fast, especially for professionals like us. So we're really fast. When I describe this, it doesn't mean that they took 20 minutes to read them all. No, within seconds, they finish reading. Within seconds, people make decision whether they want to read your second page of CV or they skip them, or they don't want to read anymore. So this happens within seconds. A summary session, your words, your language, and the first sentence of your first current or experience happening in seconds. Now you need to allow into people to read for the second sentence of your first experience on the second page. What I'm saying, it's really roughly about this idea, and you know that you want to present differently because you want to focus on business achievement instead of skill set. You want to focus about you're able to attract investment instead of something like craft product. Now that purpose is different. So this is really an idea that you should consider. You should consider when you're starting present and how to recraft your CV, having some ideas in your mind so you know how to structure them. So this is the area when I'm saying structure your CV. And then you come with fulfill with your CVs, with your achievement. Whatever you say in your CV should conclude with something outcome. Okay, should focus on. Nobody cared what you did. I don't care any of my team members. They told me I worked so hard, but they haven't finished work, right? I don't see the results going on. I don't care how many hours. I even don't care if you spend a minute working on it, if you spend 1 month working on it. If you spend a minute on working on that, it doesn't matter to me because I want to see outcome. So CV should really focus on outcome. Outcome, what make you distinguish to someone else is applying the same position. Now, in terms of work experience, do you need to cover all work experience? You need to cover because otherwise people will think what's going on, right? You have gap year here, all right? But you don't need to give the same weight and same emphasis to everything, to every work experience. You want to focus more about current one and the most recent one, all right? And for the first graduate work, you probably just mention one sentence and probably put them together into one, depending how much information you have, okay? Now, if you only have like 2 experience in the entire life, 2 companies, then you have some space for your first graduate work. But if you have changed quite a lot of jobs, then you need to put them together. It's really about the purpose. Always focus on purpose of your CV. It's not one answer to all questions, right? Now come out with that, okay, then you need to focus about, put here if your qualification were not relevant to work experience. So then you come touch a bit about that, touch a bit about your, some people mentioning that they want to do volunteer work. If, look, your work's not relevant to, your volunteer work's not relevant to what you want to present. If you're someone for working in cybersecurity and you're a committee member or committee president of a cybersecurity club and you're organizing monthly or weekly, whatever, then this is relevant. But if you're working for Red Cross and then people ask, it's already important. I don't think it's important. I think you're just trying to say what? I don't care, really. I'm not saying working for Red Cross is bad, no. Because the purpose is not, I don't want to need to know that. I'm sorry, it's cruel. But again, this has to really meet the purpose. If your work experience, your volunteer experience is highly relevant, is ongoing, that relates to your work to show that you are on a participate some kind of projects voluntarily, right? We really want to know the outcome. If you say I participate GitHub that competition and receive 5,000 awards, and then the top one person, receive that, then you're the top. You need to mention in here. All right. So again, this is structure of a CV. That's the first one I want to really mention. Structure of a CV need to really fit for the purpose. And in terms of wording, how many pages you want to say? Normally, I don't recommend more than 3 pages. If some candidates, they're really good enough, I can see from scratch what they're doing, then probably 1 page is enough. We have success candidate from 1 page to 3 pages or 2 pages. Now, if your experience is quite rich and you want to understand people, then you probably 3 A4 pages. Don't go over to that, because if you can't sell yourself well within 3 pages, I don't think you're good enough. That is a reader. That's the audience who actually think about that way, okay? Now, exceptional might apply if you have really valid reasons. Say, I can't tell myself well in 3 pages. I need to go 4th page. You need very, very valid, strong argument. Say why you need to do this. And then, is there really no way you can chunk everything into 3 A4 pages? Okay, so pages wise, range from 1 A4 to 3 A4 pages. Don't go over to 3 A4 pages. But if you want to say, I can tell myself well in 2 A4 pages or 1 A4 page, is that fine? Good, that's fine. And even the summary doesn't have to be like, it probably can be 1 or 2 sentences, long sentence, 1 sentence is good enough, right? So that is that structure and how many pages about that. Now, how do you really present in writing, drafting, and wording your CV? Remember, this is a persuasion, it's a pitch deck. Whatever you say, the word you use has a purpose and it has to be persuasive, okay? Persuasive in a way that's described in a way that people believe fit the purpose of who you are. If you're an investor, for instance, we want to see deals you have achieved. Then these elements can quite relevant. Deals you net and then the size of the deal, how much money actually you attract, you fundraised, and then the outcome, IPO, whatever, right? If you're someone who is a product developer, who's a salesperson, we want to see the deal you've did, right? Size of deal, what kind of customers you attract. Of course, you don't need to say every client you may have, depending on accounts you have. But you want to mention that key account and a good size of them. Now, if you're a programmer, really focus about products and whether this product is well known and that the product is successfully launched, right? So really, if you're a cybersecurity specialist, if you're someone who's working on a defense research, whatever, we want to see real case. This is how you word yourself, how to write in a way that's very persuasive. It's really important to focus on the goal of your CV. Don't assume that I just present whatever I write for work. Is that enough? It's enough for me to do assessment because as a business person, as a professional, I have patience for that. But for immigration officer, they have lots of work. Then if you don't present well, they just don't read. You cannot force someone. Reading has to be something that's really enjoyable. It cannot be a painful experience. So, oh my God, I really don't. I force myself 3 times, I can't read. I don't want to read any of that information that person is trying to present. You can't force someone to do that, okay? The emotion when people read, it doesn't matter about this is persuasion, persuasive, descriptive, or it's just mere information based, a scientific paper, right? The thing that you present has to be really interesting. That they have to have a joyful experience when reading your information. If reading information causes something of pain, okay, people don't want to read anything, that's your fail in presenting yourself. Even you're really well regarded professional, you really done well. And then if you don't take this seriously, what I'm saying seriously, it's you don't think that, well, you guys should give me invitation permanent visa right now. This kind of being ignorance to the fact they have qualifications requirement, they have this key criteria for getting permanent visa, then you just kind of showing that you're ignorant on your paper. Even you're not that such a person. But the language you present in a way that it doesn't cause someone's pleasure experience or joyful experience, then you are not presenting well for yourself. And then maybe you're not presenting, I always question, maybe you kind of can present yourself in your life, and then you fail to present yourself in your life. You fail to present yourself well in your career. You could have done better, a lot better. You could have done better beyond all the peers, but you're not doing so because you don't allow yourself to shine. Okay, so that is today's video talking about 3 key elements about how to structure your CV, how many pages you need to present your CV, and how to construct your word to persuade your reader to make decision in your favor. The whole information I present here is years experience helping successful candidates getting permanent visa under subclass A58. Now it's called National Innovation Visa. If you find the information is really useful, subscribe our channel, make a comment below, and we have consultation sections for our candidate. Thank you for watching.